Let's take a look at the DAX 2025 outlook. The DAX is a great trading instrument because it has large movements, it's quite volatile, and the spreads are thin. Being an index, it means it's subject to open and close times and a bias towards the long side over the long term due to the nature of how indices work. This can make the DAX a great trading instrument overall, with plenty of opportunities to be able to trade it. Let's take a look at the key drivers that might affect the DAX, the German stock index, over the coming year. Currency movements. So a weaker euro benefits exporters like Volkswagen and Siemens by making their products more competitive globally. A stronger euro, on the other hand, could hurt export revenues. China's role. Germany relies on Chinese demand. A recovery in China's economy would boost the DAX, while continued sluggishness would weigh on their performance. Energy and commodities. Lower energy prices help Germany's manufacturing-heavy economy, cutting costs for DAX companies. Rising prices, on the other hand, for materials like steel and copper could squeeze profit margins for industrial firms. Geopolitical risks. Ongoing tensions in Eastern Europe or the Middle East may hurt investor confidence and raise costs for companies, and this can also impact the energy and commodity costs as well. Monetary policy. If the European Central Bank cuts rates, it could boost borrowing and growth, but weaken the euro, affecting exporters. So there's 5 key drivers there. Now let's take a look at the bank outlooks and reports that Goldman Sachs, Deutsche Bank, and IG Group have. So Goldman Sachs sees challenges for European markets but expects total global equity returns of around 10%, which includes moderate growth for the DAX. I'll provide links to each of the bank's reports below. Deutsche Bank is optimistic, highlighting technological productivity gains that could support growth for DAX companies. IG Group projects significant volatility, with the DAX potentially ranging between 17,000 and 22,500 points. Long forecast predicts the DAX could hit around 24,530 points by the end of 2025, a potential 23% increase from early year levels. With plenty of factors to consider, where do you think in the next 3 months that the DAX will land, and how about the end of the year? Comment below and let's see who was closest. I've laid out the pivot points that I usually run on a yearly basis. So this is around the start of the year, this level here, and here's the levels for that following year, so 2024. And we can see here the market rallied up into R2 and breakout long, went straight through R1, and it basically respected these levels until late in the year. Once we'd hit the R2 on the yearly levels, we came down and retested the previous year's high before then rallying almost to the R3. We've got here the levels for this year. So if we can picture these ahead of time, so these are the levels relating to 2024, where would you expect these levels to go? So we may come up and test, for example, the R2. We may come down to the breakout short or S1, which is about 17,583. I would assume these levels are going to be quite prominent here, the S1 and the breakout short, because they're quite tight together, indicating that there might be some strength there and the market may want to test it out. The majority of the reports led towards the DAX being quite strong. However, it may not be in the first part of the year, so we have to wait and see what actually happens. The Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, has revised its forecast for Germany's economic growth in 2025, lowering it to 0.7% from the previously projected 1.1%. This still assumes growth. We covered a range of different bank forecasts, and most of them tend to point in a quite positive direction, with the lower amounts being around the 17,000 mark to be tested. Some analysts express optimism, while others advise caution due to economic and political uncertainties. So let us know where you think the DAX will land, and we'll come back and check in a year's time. If you enjoyed this video or took something positive from it, please hit the like button below. It lets me know this is helping others. To see more great content like this, please subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay updated with the latest.